famous TT circuit of Assen, home to motorcycle racing for 90 years now, extraordinarily on open roads until 1955, when the 25th Dutch TT was held on a brand new circuit, which was a good deal shorter than the one we run on now. It's now just 2.822 miles long, but everybody loves it because it does share all the qualities of the original road circuit. This is Luke Mossey on the Quattro Plant Tech Care Kawasaki, hoping that he can improve on his misfortunes at Donington Park, having not made the best of starts to the showdown. What about the Tyco BMW? This is Ian Hutchinson. Hutchie, having failed to win narrowly the National Superstock Championship for Tyco BMW, is actually being given an outing on bike number 11, the full spec Superbike Tyco BMW. Alongside him, the fastest man so far in practice, his teammate, the effervescent Christian Idden. And here is the third member of the Tyco BMW squad, Michael Laverty, who's just enjoyed seeing his brother-in-law Chas Davis win that very exciting World Superbike round at Magny-Cours. And as they set out, I asked Ian Hutchinson how things were going, getting used to the Superbike, and he said, well, it's more learning the track. I could have done without the wet session this morning, because that was the first time I had the BSB electronics on. Yesterday I was working on the kind of road spec bike, and I could have just done with a dry session this morning. So he's still learning his way around. This man, Leon Haslam, most certainly isn't. He's been racing here since he was a kid. His first year in 125 Grand Prix on an Italjet in 1999. And he's even got history, James, because he actually set the fastest lap in the World Superbike race of 2009 that was won that year by Ben Spies.
Yeah, Leon's one of the only riders that will have ridden on both of the last layouts of this Assen circuit. In my opinion, it's got worse every time they've chopped something off it. However, it was that good in the first place that it's still quite good.
It's still rather wonderful with the remnants.
It is, yeah.
So out onto the back straight then, the Wienschlang, or snake in English, and then whipping it through the Rustenhoek. And this is a third gear, 90-mile-an-hour swoop, right, left, and right again, and then up to Steckenwald, the third gear right-hander, beautifully dished right-hander that takes you up to 130 miles an hour through the kink. And ahead of him, we'd like to welcome back to British Superbikes for the first time since 2012, the former European Superstock and Italian Superbike champion, number 53, Alex Polita. The Pirate is back, having taken over from Stuart Easton at the Motor Rapido Lloyd's British Ducati garage.
Yeah, Polita, lovely fella. Did his first Alaman TT this last year. I get on really well with him, nice fella.
And he had a hand alongside Troy Bayliss and Danilo Petrucci. He was the third man developing the original Panigale. So Ernie Marinelli suggested that he would be a good rider to get on it.
Absolutely, and Polita, you know, Alex Polita was definitely one of the sort of great hopes of Italian young riders coming through at one point. He really was. He was very, very promising in his youth. There's Ron Haslam.
Ron Haslam keeping a very quiet eye on proceedings as we go around to the B Wiser Ducati of the championship leader, Shaky Byrne.
I can't believe that Ron isn't down his hair. I actually believe him that he isn't. He probably wouldn't know how to use hair dye anyway, but no greys there, Ron. Dan Linfoot, number 4.
Dan Linfoot, who's actually, the word lengthened his gear ratios for this session. He was having a really short shift onto the back straight during the damp session this morning, so he said, I'm just going to lengthen the ratios a bit. Yeah,
but if you're lengthening all the ratios, basically you're going up on the overall gearing, which will spread the gears out and lengthen the overall gearing. But gears and gear ratios are absolutely critical. Even on superbikes that have as much mid-range and power and torque as they have, it's still critical around Assen. You've so many corners that are second, third and fourth gear where you're pulling out of that. It's key. You can lose or gain a lot of time just by having the bike in the right rev range out of a corner, and you do that with gearing.
Shaky Byrne on the B Wiser Ducati Panigale then, number 4 Linfoot ahead of him, the other Honda Racing Fireblade of number 22 Jason O'Halloran behind. And at the moment the fastest lap has gone to number 32 Brock Parks, making his return to the ePay Me Yamaha team of Tommy Hills, ahead of Haslam and Idden in third place.
Yeah, Brock Parks, another rider that'll know this place well. That's Billy McConnell, extricating himself from the gravel. Doesn't like he's been down the road. It just looks like he's It's been a straight on into the really soft gravel here. When you get in it, you know it. Don't half stop you.
Skippy McConnell did win race 2 of the Super Sport British Championship here in 2014 on his way to the Super Sport title. The first race winner, incidentally, was Alistair Seeley. There's a fair few people have enjoyed success here at the Cathedral of Speed. This man, Shaky Byrne, then whips across the line and goes quickest. 1 minute 37.102.
Did Jason O'Halloran not win the Super Sport round here on a Honda? When they were in blue livery, or was it a super stock? He's won round here, definitely, I think.
It may have been a super stock, more likely a super stock race. There's Spider, that's the crew chief of Dan Linfoot, who knows the same area of London as I do well, because he was brought up in kind of Crouch End, Hornsey Vale.
Oh, look at that, there's something seriously wrong with that. That's
Alistair Seeley.
Yeah, that's Alistair Seeley, but I don't know why he was bumping that. I think maybe trying to keep out of people's way, bumping up and down the curves there. But he was making a good job of keeping that because he was about 2 metres off the track.
Shane Byrne then is fastest, Haslam second, Linfoot in third, Brock Parks in fourth, Jakob Smertz in fifth. He's got his 3.5-year-old daughter, Yasmin, helping him, and that's brought a smile to Kuba's face. He's here with his family, with his motorhome, really enjoying the kind of road trip here, and she was very keenly helping him to sort out his helmet and his tear-offs. Christian Hidden on the cruise.
Haslam goes quickest.
Haslam 136.990. And this is Christian Hidden, who was healthily the quickest yesterday when the conditions were a little bit iffy. And look, those moments, James, in the wet this morning, it was amazing how many of those were being enjoyed.
Yeah, this place in the wet used to be really predictable. We know it drives really quick. Most of the corners have got a lot of camber. That sheets the water off really quickly and lets the wind get at it. Normally a bit of breeze here as well. But in actual fact, over the last couple of years, it's got quite slippy. You know, I don't know what's happened to the surface. A lot of the grip depends on what the surface goes through day to day. You know, track days or car track days or whatever. And it does actually seem to have lost a lot of the grip in the wet round here.
Watching the second BYZ Ducati of the Ulsterman Glenn Irwin, whose brother Graham was supposed to be representing Ireland in the Motocross of Nations in Italy last weekend, but unfortunately dislocated his shoulder on the Friday and couldn't really participate in the rest of the racing. As Glenn Irwin then behind him has John Hopkins, and boy oh boy, does Hopper love this place. He was on pole position on a Suzuki in the 2006 MotoGP here, the Dutch TT of 10 years ago.
Now things change, Jack.
Number 47, Richard Cooper on the build-based BMW. He was pulling an impressively high gear onto the back straight this morning. They're quite different from the other BMWs that were howling out and snatching gears on the way.
Yeah, in actual fact, I went on about how it's really critical to get it in the right gear. Some riders like different gears. These things have a lot of torque, a lot of bottom-end power, so they will pull in any gear. I never liked pulling high gears, so in effect low revs, a lot of lead angle, a lot of torque. When it goes, it can go really quick in that situation, it really can, and it tends to hurt after that.
In complete contrast, Christian Hidden was screaming out of Distrubben onto the back straight and snatching gears at a terrific speed. We've already got a motorcycle coming in on the, is that Peter Hickman?
It looks like it to me.
On a trailer.
Yep.
So the JG Speedfit Kawasaki of Peter Hickman, currently in 16th place, remember, has to be in the top 18 to go through into Super Bowl, into qualifying 2. Hickman trudges past our commentary position at the moment and is unfortunately going to get harassed by Larry Carter, poor lad. But he's going to have a chat with Larry and explain what's happened to the number 60 JG Speedfit Kawasaki.
Well,
it's been pulled out.
We can see one side of it, and that's in mint condition. The other side we're going to see in a minute. No, it's broke down. It's not been upside down, that one.
So that means they've got 8.5 minutes to sort it out and get that motorcycle back out on track, because Hickman is currently in with a chance. He's 18, but only 18 qualify for the second session.
And that bike has obviously got an issue, and they don't even look like they're going to make an effort to fix it. It's obviously stopped, it's obviously terminal. They would have pushed it back or limped it back or done something if it would have been quicker. Had to wait for the trailer and get on the infield section to get back, and yeah, it looks like he's out.
Paul Bird then looking reasonably happy with life. His man Shane Byrne is 4th. Mind you, his second man Glenn Owen is 18. so Irwin may just be in, but Josh Hook is one of the men, number 16, who's hunting him down. This is Josh Hook, a young Australian on the WD-40 Kawasaki, who was brilliant, 5th fastest in the wet this morning. These lads who are brought up on oil-slicked dirt tracks in Australia do love it when it gets greasy. And at the moment, Josh, though, not quite cutting it in the dry. 138.823. He needs to find 138.29 or better if he's to get the better of Glenn Irwin.
Shane Byrne on an outlap now.
Leon Haslam quickest. Luke Mossey has gone into 2nd place. Kuba Smertz in 3rd place. That's impressive. 4th place for Shaky Byrne. 5th place Brock Parks. 6th Dan Linfoot. 7th Ellison. 8th Idden. All these guys looking comfortable and qualified for qualifying 2. Laverty in 9th. Hopkins in 10th. Richard Cooper in 11th. 12th place for Billy McConnell.
Kuba Smertz, actually, he just mentioned being quick all weekend. Watched him yesterday, looked, and he will have as much experience as anybody else around this place. They race here a lot.
Shaky Bird, number 67, out on track. He's currently in 4th place. Fastest lap 137.1 against a 136.99. So he's very much, that's Haslam's quickest time. Haslam so far the only guy to dip underneath the 137 point. Shaky with a healthy lead in the championship, of course, courtesy of that fall of Leon Haslam's at Redgate last time out at Donington. Shaky did the double, and he now has that advantage of 27 points over the JG Speed Fit Kawasaki. Dan Linfoot in 3rd place.
Yeah, I think Haslam was really unlucky, you know. He had to run the SC1 rear tyre. Virtually nobody else did. He can't make the 0 last, but I think temperatures now for here and for Brands are going to be cool enough so that everybody's going to have to run the one, and we know how fast Haslam is on those tyres. I think he'll be able to make the best of those.
Notice he's just passing number 31, Vito Iannuzzo, a former European Superstock FOW champion, riding for Gearlink Kawasaki. And Vito could, for the first time this season, be going through this qualifying too. He's currently 17th on a track he knows well. 18th is Irwin, 19th is James Rispoli, as Shaky Byrne goes quickest with a 136.829, so he joins the sub-37 crew. This is the Smiths BMW of their new signing, Yuichi Kianari, and Kianari currently is in 23rd place. He has a habit of languishing around his number. Number 23 in 23rd place, he's on it. Whether or not he can do enough to eclipse Irwin, we'll have to see.
What do you mean he's on it? Well, he's off it. 1 point, this is, let's have a look, he's already getting up for 2 seconds off it, time-wise.
So Kianari flicks through the chicane, and yeah, this will be a fairly slow time, 38.1, so he stays 23rd and outside qualifying 2. Beautiful backing into the first turn, though, at Harlebach.
No points for that, Jack.
No, but it looked good.
Yeah, true.
And this is Philip Backlund. He had a slip off at the Distruggan hairpin this morning, where he was the only guy, despite a lot of moments, especially coming out of the hairpin onto the back straight, where bikes were snapping out of shape. He actually fell right on the exit to the corner, just spun off, no harm done. So the Swede then crosses the line. He's on a 142.82, so he's in 25th place. His best time is a 139.69, so he's got to find well, over a second. This is Vito Iannuzzo, a happy, smiling Italian who's loving being in the British Superbike paddock. Back in 2002, won that European Superstock Championship. And as he crosses the line, that was on a Suzuki, as he crosses the line, he remains in 17th place. His best time of 138.259. And at the moment, that's looking good enough.
It might just be good enough for the well-nourished Italian. He likes a cake.
So Vito Iannuzzo, who had the support of Valentino Rossi one year when they were at Misano, and he was racing in the World Super Sport Championship. He's been in stock, World Super Sport, World Superbikes across his career, a varied career. James Rispoli still just outside where he needs to be. The 18th place is Glenn Irwin. And
This is O'Halloran.
Jason O'Halloran is in 14th place, 137.8, so he's exactly 1 second behind the fastest time so far. don't know whether he's about to improve that. 38.0. So he remains 14th. Is this Jason struggling slightly then?
Yeah, I think he is, actually.
Josh Hook is having one last throw of the dice here as well. Here comes Hook riding bike number 16, who started off the year, remember, in the graveyard of the Grillini Kawasaki team in World Superbike. Unfortunately, Jay got taken on by Jeff Crust at the WD-40 team.
A lovely way of putting it, that.
Number 71, James Rispoli, a training partner, of course, around the Leicestershire area of James Ellison's. And he is trying to get that black and yellow Kawasaki into the top. At the moment, in 19th place, best time, 1:38.37. So he only needs to lose a tenth of a second off that, and he'd get the better of Glenn Irwin.
And it's a Yamaha, actually.
What did I say?
Kawasaki.
Oh, sorry.
It's an Awon Yamaha.
A black and yellow Yamaha crossing the line now. Has he done enough? I don't know whether he has. Crosses the line and... No, stays just outside. Yeah, you know, so Glenn Irwin, someone has jumped up.
Irwin.
Was that Irwin got 17th? Yep. Yanuzzo is now in the danger box in 18th place. 19th Rispoli, 20th Hickman. This is Jenny Tinmouth. Lovely young lady from Ellesmere Port up in Cheshire. And she's currently in 27th place, ahead of Aaron Zanotti, ahead of Josh Wainwright, ahead of Sean Winfield, who's been rehired by the Anvil Hire Tag Yamaha team for 2017. Jenny, the third of the Honda Racing Fireblades. Her teammates Linfoot in 6th place, O'Halloran in 14th. Checking out the kind of spread of times here as Jenny comes through the final chicane beneath that crowded grandstand. A good healthy turnout of people. Even at this time, she remains in 20th place on 23rd place, sorry, on bike number 20. The people who are not qualifying at the moment: Rispoli, Hickman, Chianari, Hook, Polita, a former Italian champion, Seeley, a former national Superstock and Supersport champ. This is number 11, Ian Hutchinson. And Hutch is in 26th place, so Hutchinson ruined that lost session this morning, James. Yeah, it was wet.
Yeah, I chatted with Hutchie last night, and he said that the bike was basically, as it finished the TT, the gearbox was completely wrong, and it just, the bike was holding him back. And he's never ridden here before. This is Hutchie's first time at Assen. And
he did. This is Lee Jackson explaining a few things in the Bill-based BMW guys, but Hutchie said that this morning, when they revised settings and gearings and things, was the very morning he needed to be dry to test things out. So Shane Byrne, Leon Haslam, Luke Mossey, 1, 2, 3, ahead of Kuba Smertz, Brock Parks and Dan Linfoot. Ellison in 7th, Christian Idden and Michael Laverty together in 8th and 9th, ahead of John Hopkins. So 2 ePayMe Yamahas in the top 10, 2 Tyco BMWs there. Build-based BMWs, Richard Cooper, ahead of McConnell and Tommy Bridewell. The other qualifiers, O'Halloran, Jackson, Martin Jessup gets a good ride in. He's going to be doing the Western Beach Race next weekend, he tells me, on the ridersmotorcycles.com BMW. And then Glenn Irwin and Vittorio Iannuzzo round out the top 18. So just failing to make it then, James Rispoli and the very unfortunate Peter Hickman. And then 21st for Chianari, 22nd for Hook. And the other non-qualifiers, all of them strong names: Polita, Seeley, Backlund, 14-time TT winner Ian Hutchinson, Zanotti, Tinmouth, Wainwright and Sean Winfield.
Yeah, really unfortunate that for Peter Hickman, as you said, Jack. Only narrowly missing out on Q2, despite the obvious problem there, Peter. Although looking at it, it seems as though you might not have been ready to go back out anyway. What happened?
Yeah, good question. Obviously, I just got one lap in. I would say it wasn't brilliant yesterday, and straight away I knew we've gone the right direction. The first lap felt really good, and obviously starting my second flying lap, and unfortunately Doris stopped on the way down the back straight. So not entirely sure what's wrong yet. It looked or sounded fairly terminal, I guess, so we couldn't get back out for the rest of Q1, which is a bit of a shame, but we'll be back tomorrow.
Yeah, it's frustrating, I'm sure, for you, but that's the good thing about BSB is there's always another chance.
Yeah, exactly that, and the grid position's all right. Isn't going to be brilliant for the first race tomorrow, but if we improve on the lap time in the first race, then obviously the grid makes it a lot better for us for race 2.
Thanks, Peter. Good luck tomorrow.
Thanks a lot. Cheers.
Okay, so Peter Hickman then, unfortunately, not one of the top 18 riders who's going to be going through to Q2. Shane Byrne, of course, is. He will be a lead contender, no doubt, for pole position. Remember, it's Q2 and then super pole here. So the fight for the top 9 positions gets underway when we come back for the break. He's dancing in pit lane. That was pretty cool. Here we go then, extreme qualifying, sponsored by Data Tag. It's the second session here at ASSEN. Let's cross back to James and Jack. Hopefully they're not jiving in the commentary box. Seen that before.
Yeah, you haven't seen what me and Whittam can get up to in the commentary box. However, this is Data Tag Extreme Qualifying Session 2. And we're looking at James Ellison in the JG Speed Pit garage, and we instantly transport into the E-Pay-Me Yamaha garage with the familiar figure of John Hopkins, 10 years ago pole position setter here in MotoGP on a Suzuki. So number 21, Hopkins, steps aboard the E-Pay-Me Yamaha. 18 riders make their way out on track then. 12 minutes to go. James Ellison gets Mark Halverson, Smith Halverson's high five of good luck as he goes out to see what he can do with this qualifying session. And amongst the people who will be taking on will be, of course, Shane Byrne, who's just dipped a fraction below the lap record right at the end of that first session. The lap record held from last year by Josh Brooks, 1 minute 36.904. So that 8-point-odd lap time of Shaky Burns dipping below the lap record. Number 31, Vittoriano Iannuzzo makes his way onto the track to enjoy a rare experience in the second qualifying session.
He's just going to be dead chuffed.
He is. You could see he was dead chuffed.
Super pole 2.
You could see he was thrilled when he was going out on track, the 2002 stock Thou Jam.
This is Hickman's number 60 JG Speedfit Kawasaki, and you can tell there's no rush there. Whatever it is, it's terminal. I'm thinking mechanical internals of the engine, maybe a rod, maybe a piston or a valve, but certainly they're not rushing.
Dan Linfoot going out. Dan Linfoot's another man who's enjoyed success here in the past. In 2008, remember that season he did alongside Gino Rea as teammates in the European Superstock 600 Championship. Linfoot set the fastest lap on his R6 that year here in the Superstock 600 race.
Linfoot had a kind of difficult at times, but really good season on that. At times, he was really, really fast on that stock 6.
He was either winning or having problems.
I didn't want to do him as his service, but exactly, yes.
So Linfoot then, another guy who's certainly used. You could see that shot there, James. That was exactly what he described to me, because he was one of the guys who had a big moment coming out of Distrubben this morning, and he said you still heeled over to the left more than you realise. You think the thing's completely stood up, you wick it, and then woof, it snaps round on you.
Do you know why?
Why?
The camber drops off really sharply. And everything sort of adds up. Your bike's still on its side, it's not as self as you thought, you've got lots of power going to the rear wheel, and the camber drops away, and that sometimes is just a deciding thing that gets you out of the seat.
There were at least half a dozen mega moments. Hutchinson, Iden, Linfoot, all of them had their share.
It's always been the case there. That corner hasn't changed at all in any layout of ASSEN. It's always been that way.
This is the back straight then, and heading through this fabulous, mighty chicane at the end. Remember, Leon Haslam has less fond memories of this race. Remember, he was leading a very wet World Superbike race when he fell and broke his leg.
10 seconds, I think he was in front.
Yeah, it looked like almost a foregone conclusion, but you can never count your chickens in this sport. Behind him, we've got Lee Jackson and John Hopkins. So Haslam, who, as I mentioned, since making his debut in 125 GPs in 1999, has pretty much enjoyed not exactly annual visits to ASSEN, because of course he had that block of 3 years where he was running in British Superbikes prior to our first visit to ASSEN in 2012. I loved his very, very specific description of how to go through this final chicane in our kind of track illustration.
Track guide, yeah. And it is a brilliant chicane. It's an excellent corner tap for a last corner, because there's so much can happen there.
136.915. That's within a whisker of the lap record straight off the bat. But already beneath the lap record is Christian Itten, 136.902, as Ray Stringer and his rider, the Quattro Plant Tech Kawasaki there,
To the right, that was Andrew Reid in his silly furry jacket doing a bit of social media stuff. Oh, but he's out with he's out with a broken wrist at the minute.
Luke Mossey was the rider I was looking for.
Yes, he is.
Conversation with Ray Stringer. Hayden fastest. Byrne goes fastest. Surely under that record. Yes, well under it. 136.068. So Shaky Byrne, almost a second, but he's stamping his authority here. Hayden on a 136.9. Haslam 36. O'Halloran 136.867. So Jason O'Halloran suddenly found has unlocked Assen. Number 7, Michael Laverty. Laverty, winner of the European Superstock 1000 Championship race here as a one-off on a Suzuki in 2002, the same year that Vittoriano Iannuzzo was winning that title. And on the Tyco BMW then, he's currently in 6th place. And he'll be a lot happier as the track dries out, I suspect.
Yep.
So into the left-hander at Dubult. This is the hill, because that was the original.
Somebody's off.
And that might be a Smith's BMW that's gone down. It could be Jakob Smertz, as he's the only surviving one. Oh, Kuba. After all the effort your little daughter's made to get you prepared.
Ooh, and that's a fast one.
It is, isn't it?
He went down heavy on his left hand as well.
Oh, dear, that didn't look comfortable.
Yeah, that's what he's looking at, look.
So Kuba Smertz then is out. He's in 14th place at the moment, but he certainly ain't going to improve on that. See how damp it is on the inside of the final chicane as Michael Laverty whacks his way through on the Tyco BMW and crosses the line, remains in 7th place. So Byrne, Iden O'Halloran, Haslam, Cooper. Now Parks jumps into 3rd place. Brock Parks on the ePay Me Yamaha. That's number 32. Brock Parks on the ePay Me Yamaha has gone 3rd. 4th O'Halloran, 5th Haslam, 6th Richard Cooper going about his business. This is Dan Linfoot, number 4.
Yeah, 8 for down at the minute. He needs this. Only 9 go through. That lap of Parks shoved Hopkins down to 10, so he's out now.
So we're looking at Linfoot. He's currently in 8th place with a 136.981. Listen to the revs singing as he comes howling out of the chicane. And
stays where he is.
Yep, Linfoot in 8th place. James Ellison on the JG Speedfit Kawasaki, very unfortunate after leading the early stages of race 2 in at Donington Park before he says the tyre went right off.
Yeah, it did. It was a mess afterwards. There's nothing you can do. I mean, they put it down to the fact it was just a duff tyre, and you do get them. Not so often, I've got to say, with Pirelli. They're very, very consistent generally.
So Ellison, can he do enough to get himself properly into... He's currently in 7th place. He wants perhaps to get himself slightly more comfortable. Fastest lap so far, 136.976. So what's happening is the top 4 are beneath Josh Brooks' existing lap record. Christian Iden has actually improved to a 136.46. So he's knocked half a second off his previous 2nd place time. Got a bit closer to Shaky Byrne. Let's see what James Ellison can do. And as he exits the final chicane, 136, or 137.2, he stays there in 7th place. Linfoot 8th, Laverty 9th. They don't seem to be able to go any quicker, but just now, the fact is that Hopkins, Irwin and Bridewell don't seem to be able to get any quicker either, because none of them have actually broken the 137 barrier, which they'll need to do. So we're going to have a Q3 session rather than a Super Pole, apparently, because of the... we thought that the weather had cleared up sufficiently, but apparently not.
Well, last time I was outside, you could actually feel a little bit of damp in the air. I don't think... And that was a while ago. It's obviously not now with the times that the front lads are doing.
So this is the wonderful old Mick Grant livery of the Quattro Plant Tech Care Kawasaki. This is the man seeking that elusive first race win of his Superbike career. Number 12, Luke Mossey. Currently in 18th place. He hasn't set a time. They were pretty slow actually leaving the pits. So he's got this lap and perhaps one more to do something about it as he drops into the final Gertsch-Timmer chicane. And as he falls on the coals and crosses the line, 136.5. That's good. Mossey, 3rd quickest, well under the lap record. And that means he is well through into qualifying 3. Michael Laverty is the victim. Laverty drops out of the top 9, along with Hopkins, Irwin, Bridewell, Iannuzzo, Smertz, Jessup, McConnell, Jackson and
Cooper sneakily going about his business there, look, in 6. Good run for him.
Mrs. Ray Stringer alongside Pete Exton's there, keeping their eyes, well, very happily peeled on yonder timing screen as we look at Michael Laverty, the M-Lav. Can he possibly just squeeze his way back into that top 9 places? He's currently in 10th. Fastest lap 136.988, 137.2. Oh, sorry, I got that.
You've got to say, and he stays.
Got that wrong. Do you know who's going to be massively disappointed? Kuba Smertz put his Ducati, his Effenberg Liberty Ducati, on pole position in 2009 for World Superbike.
He did, yeah.
And he was obviously out to set a very, very good time. Now, these two guys, they need good times because they're both outside that top 9. It's Billy McConnell on the FS3 Kawasaki, and behind him, Glenn Irwin on the Budweiser Ducati.
McConnell currently 17th and Irwin currently 12th. And that's Billy thrown the lap away.
Meanwhile, Glenn Irwin is on it as number 22, Jason O'Halloran, comes in. O'Halloran comfortably in 5th place, ahead of Cooper, Haslam, Ellison and Linfoot. They are the top 9 riders. Do you know the difference is only 7 thousandths of a second between Linfoot and Laverty, but that's the difference between getting through to qualifying 3 and not. So looking at John Hopkins with those doubtless rose-tinted memories of pole position in World Supers, in MotoGP 10 years ago. What can he do on the Pay Me Yamaha as he drops into the final right-left slingshot onto the finishing line? Hopper, 137.13 remains his fastest time. He stays stuck in 11th place. He's got a good target man if he wants to crack on, but Ellison's pulling off. Lee Jackson also working hard.
6 people, the top 6 underneath the existing lap record. Not that any of these will count, it has to be set in a race, but still impressive. Top 6 underneath the lap record and 3 or 4 after that within a 10th of a second of it.
Lee Jackson using a lot of curve there. It's unusual to see the imperturbable even Jackson getting quite as wide as that. Shows how hard he's trying. Look at that left foot lifting off the pegs as he goes through the huge double the Mandefane and Dijkgersloot right at the end, and then it's through Mavenmere up to 130 miles an hour, and then faster, 160, 170, howling through what is known as High Heather, and then back to Ramshoek and straight onto the Gert Timmerbock chicane at the end. And this is a really last-ditch effort then by Lee Jackson. He's not going to have the time to try another one. His best time so far, 137.86, and it's a 138.115. So Lee Bob will stay downfield in 18th place. That's where he's going to start the race from. Laverty, is Laverty actually on it? Is he trying one last time? I think he is. So the veteran of MotoGP. I don't know whether we'd appreciate me calling him a veteran. I beg your pardon, Michael.
He kind of is now. How old is he, Michael?
34.
Yeah, so he's getting there. Evergreen.
What stage age would you describe as veteran, James?
Now, to be honest, some riders are at the best in the 30s. They've got that balance of experience, not doing anything silly, but still some of the speed. You lose a bit of your youthful exuberance and keenness to take a risk, but you hopefully replace that with a bit of thinking. So, yeah, he's not past it yet.
Whereas there are some, like this young man, Lee Jackson, who seem to have the mature thinking head on their shoulders at an early age. Billy McConnell, number 3, is trying a practice start alongside him Martin Jessup, who's qualified 16th. Leon Haslam goes through in 7th place with a 136.915, which seemed incredibly fast in the first session, but suddenly is down in 7th place in this session. So we've got and Brock Parks on the Pay Me Yamaha. Now, Parks has got fond memories of this place. He put an R6 Yamaha on pole position in World Supersport at Assen in 2008. So back on a Yamaha. He was running second, challenging for the lead in the Baldo 24 Hours when the Yamaha R1 quit. James Ellison, he's 8th place with a 136.97. So all the guys who've run the top 9 have gone under 137s. The only one who has and not qualified for the final session is Michael Laverty. So let's check out the overall results of this then, with Shaky Byrne on top with that scalding 136.068. You're suddenly looking at someone cracking a 36 here. Christian Idden improved with a 136.46. Luke Mossey on a 136.55 ahead of Brock Parks 136.59. Jason O'Halloran 136.82 and Richard Cooper on a 136.84. All of those underneath the lap record. Leon Haslam was 7th, James Ellison 8th, Dan Linfoot 9th, which means that Tyco BMW's Michael Laverty is unfortunate to miss out on the final qualifying session. 11th place for John Hopkins, 12th place Glenn Irwin ahead of Tommy Bridewell, Vito Yunutso, an excellent 14th overall for Geerling Kawasaki. Jakob Smertz will be disappointed having dropped the Smiths Racing BMW, and Martin Jessup, Billy McConnell, Lee Jackson and Peter Hickman we knew wasn't in this because of course he had a...
To Q3 though, let's see what happens in the company of James and Jack.
And number 24, Christian Idden on the Tyco BMW, a young man who probably had his most successful season when he was a 7-year-old, and he was a club motocross champion, Northwest Area Schoolboy motocross champion, Granada TV Challenge champion, and the British Youth Motocross Association Clubman's champion. He certainly had a lot of success as a very young man. As the riders head off onto the track then, who's going to be the kingpin here? Number 12, Luke Mossey, looked strong in that second session. Number 22, Jason O'Halloran was also below the lap record. This is, and there's a perfect viewing spot as we check out what goes on and out on the TT circuit of Assen here, 2016.
Perfect viewing spot. She didn't look right happy.
No, she didn't.
I think that, I don't know what happened up there. We retreated up there.
Very nice backcloth of beautiful trees in sharp focus there as we check out a few of the people on the main grandstand, which will be pretty packed come tomorrow when we've got all sorts of races going off. Not just the British Superbike Championship, but also a round of the Dutch Superbike Championship, which will star Taylor Mackenzie, our newly crowned National Superstock Foul Champion, running his build-based BMW with slick tyres. There are, of course, not only a lot of Brits, but a lot of Dutch riders who like to come to Assen, make the journey to Assen, because and sit there and roll their own, because this is the home of Dutch motorcycle sport. And Christian Idden, well, he was very sharp out of pit lane, but he's not in any rush to start putting a time down. Huh? He was just as effervescent as ever, and he was, when because of the long delay in qualifying this morning after Tommy Bridewell's bike had spilled some fluids at turn 1, turned into damp, the pit lane walkabout had to become a little staging area where all the riders hung out, watching actually the World Superbike race on the monitor there, and with the fans around just asking them for autographs and stuff. And Christian came up with a helmet and said to Ian Hutchinson, I know what an antisocial bloke you are, so here, will you just sign this for the good lady? And then took it back.
No, she's not antisocial. I don't think so.
No, he's just quiet.
He's a quiet lad, yeah.
Wow, look at this. Linfoot, he's on it straight away. This is when he looks at his best, isn't it? When he seems to be finding any amount of edge grip that you want.
He needs edge grip, does Dan. That's just the way he rides.
So Linfoot, this is round Distrubben, which is a awkward 30-mile-an-hour bottom gear left-hander that leads onto that straight. And then look at the way the front wheel picks up speed, because he'll be up above 180 miles an hour in 5th gear before he has to back it off for the Rushkenhoek. And he's still at 90 as he enters this. This is a really... he got well wide.
Very wide.
So he had to call that a halt to that particular lap. Well, that was a good third of a lap there, Dan. So Dan Linfoot then decides that he's had enough, whereas Christian Idden, having lingered on his first lap, is now really laying it down. Behind him, number 47, is Richard Cooper. This is the Tyco BMW of Christian Idden, the fastest of the 3 of them this weekend so far. Idden really, he revs that BMW so high, it absolutely howls its way down the back straight.
Christian said they lost their way a little bit mid-season, lost a little bit of confidence, tried a lot of new parts, some of them didn't work for him, dropped off it a couple of times, and now it really seems like he's got his...
He said, I've got my bike back again.
Yeah, so and we saw it, Don, to be honest, a little bit too late for the show now.
He seemed to lose his way into the chicane and have 2 stabs it on the entrance, but nonetheless 137.035 is good enough to go top, but I shouldn't imagine that'll be for long, because people will start edging underneath
and
the
they
lap.
already have. It's now stands Ellison quickest, then Mossy, Halloran, Cooper, and then Eden. They all went quicker behind him. They're all tailing each other.
There's not long out here. There's only less than 4 minutes now. Here's Shane Byrne. He just could be rewriting the record books then. Shane Byrne looking for his first time. He has gone faster than Ellison. Ellison on a 1:36.313, way and beyond his fastest time so far today. What can Shaky Byrne do on bike number 67 as he crosses the line? This could be a sub-36. Oh, nearly 36.214. He goes quickest. Ellison 3:13. Oh, and Christian has been off. So his chances of getting on the front row of the grid have just taken a big, well, that could be the end of that. He's down in 8th place already with his 1:37.035. Linfoot behind him as he aborted that lap. This is Richard Cooper still with number 77, James Ellison in tow. Ellison second quickest, 36.313. Cooper with a 36.821. So again, the top 6 underneath the lap record.
Cooper, a classy little rider, you know.
Oh, he's superb, yeah. Not too sure about the tattoos on his right leg.
Well, tattoos are for some, not for others, Jack. You'd look a bit silly, I think. As would I. With a full sleeve.
I think you've got just the right amount etched into your arm, James, I'd say. Look at this. Ellison gets almost alongside Cooper across the line, but he still doesn't quite match his previous time. Haslam's gone 3rd. Mossy is 4th. O'Halloran 5th. Linfoot goes 6th with a 36.613. The top 7 now underneath the existing lap record.
Cooper had 3 days in Amsterdam. Came over on Monday evening, actually. Him and his girlfriend had a romantic couple of 3 days. No, they were going to see the sights and have a boat trip and museums and all sorts of.
No, once you mentioned he came over with his girlfriend, that's fine. I thought if he'd come over with some of the stag doers from yesterday.
That's Linfoot.
Yeah, Linfoot has fallen. He looked like he was slinging the Honda around with great aplomb, and it's caught him out. He's in 6th place at the moment.
Yeah, you can see the Dainese leathers have gone off there. The airbag system's blown up, and he's not really that wide abroad. You'll see. You might even see it going off. Let's have a look down the road. It goes. Yep, and they're off. Look, see how the blows up about an inch. It gives you about an inch of air above your shoulders. Keeps your arms in the right place. Keeps your neck safe.
So Shaky Byrne then 1:36.214, not as quick as he had to go in qualifying 2. This is Luke Mossy, number 12. He's currently on a 1:36.35. That's how tight it is. There's a 1/10 of a second really. Byrne, Ellison, Haslam and Mossy, the 3 Kawasaki's and the Ducati.
I think people will be really keen to get Mossy's signature for next year. I do. I think he's going to be one of the sought-after riders in the off-season for a berth in Superbike next year. Really proved himself this year to me.
And at the moment, this is Mossy seeing if he can get himself on the front row. He's just outside the front row by a whisker at the moment behind Ellison and Haslam. And as he tanks on to the start and finish straight, 1:36.532, that remains in 4th place. Not as quick as his quickest lap. So he's currently behind the pole setter, Shaky Byrne, who's got Ellison and Haslam alongside him on the front row. And this is the Tyco BMW of Christian Iden trying to make amends for that run on into the gravel. He stayed upright though, and he managed to get himself back on track. He's surely going to, is he going to improve? No. 1:37.035 remains his best time. And this is Shaky Byrne at the end of his final lap. This will be for Shaky Byrne to ensure he's on pole position with an even quicker time. Crosses the line. 1:35.724. We've broken the 1:36 barrier. Shaky Byrne and the Ducati Panigale 1:35.724, over half a second faster than James Ellison. And there you have the joy of the camp. Waggy on the right there, still in his Ducati leathers from the Ducati Tri-Options Cup.
And 1.3 seconds nearly quicker than the old existing lap record. And remember, there's no qualifying tyres as such. These are just the softer of the option race tyres. So that's it. That's so impressive.
Jason O'Halloran clattering the curb there as he comes round. Currently in 5th place with the best time of 36.361. So right now it's Byrne, Ellison and Haslam on sharing the front row of the grid. Can the Honda do anything about it? Really sweet and quick through the final chicane as he snaps across the line, 36.703. He remains in 5th place. So the only man out there who seems able to just raise his game and go that fraction quicker so far has been Shane Byrne with that 135.724. Spider there checks out what's going on the right, and then Javier Beltran, the overall team administrator for Honda Racing, has a word with him. But Shane Byrne, well, he's dusted them all down there, James.
Yeah, fast lap that, and it seemed to be at will. It just left him to himself. Enough time for one more lap. He didn't really need to do it anyway.
So the 1 minute 36-second barrier gets bust here at Assen. This is Richard Cooper, who's qualified in 7th place, so he'll head up the 3rd row of the grid alongside Brock Parks and Christian Idden. Linfoot will retain that 6th place on the grid despite that late fall behind his teammate O'Halloran, who is alongside Luke Mossey. So we now have, oh, that's an impressive wheelie. Apparently, James, you were telling me there was a very impressive gentleman on a 15-year-old steel-framed Honda at your last track day who none of these lads could keep up with.
Yes, he races with the North Gloucester on a 20-year-old Honda that, in a class where they have to have steel frames. So that is an old bike. Didn't look particularly quick. It was ratty. He was a bit ratty. Scraped leathers, cold fill, and he was going like stink, is what he was. Nobody wanted to try and keep up with him. We did eventually stick some new tyres on for Taylor McKenzie, and the header gun just about went quicker than him. But it was embarrassing for a long time.
You'd wonder why he needed to be there, to show you the way.
He taught us a thing or two.
So as the guys come rolling back in, then this is Richard Cooper and the build-based BMW. He's comfortably qualified in 7th place. So we have the top 3 rows now sorted out. 135.724. Just wrap your head around that. There he is, Shaky Byrne. I think you could say the 39-year-old Londoner is pretty overjoyed with that. He knows what a stupendous lap that was. Shaky Byrne, that is, ladies and gentlemen, I think he's finally achieved his 50th MCE Insurance British Superbike Championship pole position. He's been 50 pole positions now to go with his 77 race wins and his 93 podiums. So Shaky Byrne now has the half-century in BSB pole positions. So 1 minute 35.724 does it for him. 0.589 of a second ahead of James Ellison, who is in turn 3.5 hundredths of a second ahead of his teammate Leon Haslam. Luke Mossey is the 3rd of the Kawasaki's then, so 3 Kawasaki's in the top 4. O'Halloran and Linfoot's Hondas 5th and 6th, and then Cooper's BMW, Parks on the ePayMe Yamaha, Christian Idden Tyco BMW, and it's time for a few signatures on the Alpine Stars there from Dionysus.